Hello, it's Mr. Jacobson, and I want to welcome you to the Data Warehouse. This site has actually been added to the site that I created for our professional development on mathletics.com. You can see the tab up here will take you to the Data Warehouse page. There is an entrance right here that'll take you to the data warehouse, but I've also included part of the process for creating this data warehouse. There were a number of staff interviews that I conducted that were based on what I thought was important to know considering the different assessments that we are familiar with and have our kids take as part of CPS school. There is also for the different development steps that I took in developing this data warehouse, and then of course there is the presentation which you are watching now. So let's go back here so we can actually enter then the data warehouse. And here we are. What I really like about this is you can sort things so easily. So I could go to gender specifically and say, well, I could sort it that way so that it's females first, and it would have all the females. I could change it so I'm looking at the 5th grade first by just clicking the sort to sort it the opposite direction. I could sort everybody by their RIT score, more specifically showing a mix of different grade levels, and then similar down the line with the rest of the data. But where this tool really becomes powerful is when we are looking at these tabs across the top. Now with the tabs across the top, there is the ability to have specific cards for each student where it contains all of that information. That could be extremely useful if you had a class set that you wanted to print, and you could actually set up specific student groupings according to how they did on a certain assessment. It would also be a really powerful tool to give to the students so that they can have their own goal setting based on their own data. So that way, if they know their own data, they can more successfully set some goals. These can be sorted just like anything else. I could select a filter. Maybe I just want to look at the girls. I could look at the 62 girls. I could even add another filter to that. Maybe I want to look at just the girls in room number 450. And then I'm going to hit find, and now I'm looking specifically just at the cards of the girls from room 450. And if I want to remove these filters or change them, I could still do that. Maybe I want to look at just the girls in 204 instead, and then that's the data that it will give me. If I want to get rid of them, I can just get rid of those, and I can hide that filter. I want to move into graphical visualization of some data. You see here I've already got one set up. Now what I did here is this is a composite data of everybody, and it includes 2 categories. I actually graphed their students' NWEA score versus their Common Core math assessment, and we get kind of just a big scattering of points, and you can go around and look at those specific points. And of course we have a bunch lined up here. That essentially means that they did not take and would need to make up this Common Core math assessment. But what I like about this is you can see there's some definite lines, groups, stacks, and some outliers, some students who are really not doing well on one assessment but doing well on the other, and you have students who are doing very well on both assessments, and then you've got a student who's doing poor in both assessments. I continued to break this down with similar filters like I showed before, and you can see here is a graph of specifically the girls. Now we have again our outliers, our student who is doing poorly in all cases, but then again some interesting groups or interesting trends. So you can see there's a line going on here where it's a variety of different students performing at the same percentile, a lower percentile for the Common Core Math assessment, and it's a wide variety of scores on their NWEA. I've also broken this same thing up into the boys. So again here I can just click back and forth and sort of see we're not having that same case where students are doing really well on one but not well on the other. There's a student here who's doing well on either, and again there's a few that are doing great, but I feel like we could go in deeper and even pick out some of these clusters, or you'd be able to use these as a great way to set some groups. I want to show you maybe a few more things quick, and part of it will have to do with the manipulation of it. So I've already set aside, I've filtered out the 5th grade classes. Okay, now if I wanted to continue filtering this down, I could also just go back to filter. I would filter possibly the room number, and in this case I want to say maybe 451. I'm going to select them. Now I have just that specific class, and I want to try graphing something with them. So I'm going to actually go down to this plus, add a chart, and I will do the exact same filters here. They're already set. Take that one off, and what I want to look at is I want to look at their end of year RIT. So I'm looking at some end of year RIT scores, and then I look at their projected, and the projected scores are really 8, 9, or 10% above where they are. And this is just a selection of students. I could change more or add more very easily. If I wanted to add a few more, I could add some more. But what I wanted to look at specifically is I also want to add the norm RIT. Okay, so when I do that, it draws that line. We have, again, our end of year RIT for a student. We've got his projected RIT. But this is actually the norm RIT. So does that projection really help that student? Really, in most cases, I can see there's only a few students, or one student in this particular set, that that goal of just that projected RIT would be appropriate. And even in that case, you might want to go higher, where this would be a far cry from what we really need to reach for to get to that norm RIT. Well, that's all, folks. Remember, please, if you need to contact me, I'm available right here, where you could just shoot me an email, or you can go to the contacts page on this page, which will also give you an opportunity to email, or start a thread on the blog and see if there's something that you can add to our blog, and I'll get back to you. All right, thanks a lot. Take care.